afternoon storm. I'm Kevin Cohen with your on-point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblum, Chris Bergen, and Pat Daniel. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil, Chris, with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. It's a Thursday night. Hey, you know, that temperature was a little bit down today in Columbia, especially when the Gamecocks were practicing in the morning. They had some clouds overhead, and it was like 79, 80 degrees, far, far away from the 100 degrees that they've been dealing with in Columbia and really around the state over the past couple of weeks. So that was a nice break for everyone, and we're watching some football practice right now. In fact, we are over at Allen University in downtown Columbia, located on Taylor Street. And just like last year, the football team is practicing right in front of us. And as a matter of fact, they're wrapping up their practice. Since we were here last year, we are in the entry area, the lobby of a dorm, and the front yard of this dorm is used as the practice field for Allen University. But since we were here last year, they've converted it from grass to artificial turf. So that's a big step up for this program, which is going into its fifth year with head coach Teddy Keaton. They have plans for a brand new stadium just down Two Notch Road from us here. And that, too, will be a big step for this program. So brick by brick, they are building it as Allen University competes in Division II football. And you know what? These kids are getting after it, and they're practicing hard, and they're on scholarship, and they're walk-ons, and they want to play some college football. And these are the guys, Chris and Pat, when you peel the onion back and you're looking for guys that want to play football for the love of the game, these are the guys you're looking for right here. I can pretty much promise you there's no NIL money floating around this place enticing players to come play football. These are guys that want to be here because they love playing the game of football, and they're going through everything everybody else is going through. They just don't have all the amenities yet, but it's getting better and better by the year. So looking forward to seeing what the Yellow Jackets can do this year. Pat Daniels over at our studios in Columbia. So when I was at Benedict, you know, that was about a solid 3-wood from the studios. Now I'm at Allen, so we're probably up to about a 5-iron from the studios, a little bit closer. And Chris Bergen is at the Berge Palace over in Sardis. Good evening, sir. How are you? Do we have Mr. Chris standing by, Pat?
I'm sorry, Phil. You talking to me? We've got our super intern / host and producer of the high school scoreboard show, JP, back in the studio tonight. I was away from my headset listening to him, so I apologize if you just were trying to talk to me.
Well, I was trying to get Chris on board, but I'm not hearing Chris.
Chris, can you hear us, bud?
I can hear you guys fine.
There you go.
Okay. Now speak, sir.
Okay. Are we back?
Well, we never went anywhere. I don't know where you went, but we never went anywhere.
I heard everything you said. I was trying to figure out your golf game here a little bit. 3-wood to get to Benedict, but then directly across the street, it's only a 5-iron?
Well, now the football is not directly across the street. The offices for Benedict are a little bit up Two Notch Road from where we are here. So that's the 3-wood, a little bit closer. Okay. We're at the corner, basically with the corner of Taylor and Millwood. Our studio sits about a block, maybe 2 blocks down Millwood from here. Mm-hmm. So, you know, we're dropping down a couple of clubs here. I don't want to overshoot it if I catch it flush. So I'm dropping down.
hit the golf ball in this concrete, it's going to roll a little bit. But you're right. You're right about Allen, and I respect the heck out of that program because they've got it tough. Not only don't really necessarily have a true practice facility like 99% of the college playing football playing schools around the country. They don't even have their own stadium. They have to share it at Westwood High School. So traveling to everything they do, home and away, that's got to be a tremendous challenge. And that would be great news for them if they're able to build their own facility on at least on or around campus. I think that'd be awesome for them.
Well, they've got plans, and we'll get more from Coach Keaton. The good thing for them this year, they have only 3 games outside the state of South Carolina. So they've got their 5 home games and then a game against Benedict, and then 3 games on the road. So their travel expense is not all that great for this particular year. But I tell you what I love about their setup. You love people who they get it done, and they do what they have to do to get it done. So they use a deer stand. They have an elevated deer stand in one of the end zones that they use as their tower for their photog to sit in the deer stand with a chair in there that kind of swivels around. And that's where he videos the practice from, a deer stand. So it works, and it helps them get the job done. And so we'll see what kind of product they can put on the field this season.
It brings up an interesting question, Phil, with regards to the NCAA, and this is part of the reason the NCAA cannot govern and legislate things for football in particular fairly, because this is just one division below South Carolina and Clemson. But they might as well be on separate planets in terms of what the Gamecocks and Tigers have for their football programs versus what Allen University has for its. The haves versus the have-nots. Especially when you start dropping down and get out of FBS football, but down through the FCS and down to D2. There's no way the NCAA can govern these sports and the different divisions equally. It's nearly impossible, and that's why we're having, I think, a lot of what we're seeing right now with regards to the amount of money that's being pumped into major college football. Why it just can't sustain itself on its own, because then you look at a team like Allen. How are they supposed to? And I realize they're never going to compete with Carolina and Clemson, but I mean, how are they supposed to even be governed the same way as those schools, even though they are, NCAA member institutions?
They've got to have their own governance. They've got to have their own board, and that's part of the issue now. Like with the big programs in the NCAA, you've got too many schools that aren't involved in their level of football, making voting on those issues, and it shouldn't be that way. You should be of a like mind and a like financial status, and everybody has the same issues, same problems, and you set that group up, and you got your next group, and you got your next group. And so I would think that in Division II, they do have maybe their own direction, their own governing board that makes decisions for them that fits their level. But even at the Division II level, I mean, Allen, they restarted their program 5 years ago. They had a program for a long, long time. Then they stopped football. They restarted football. And, of course, to be truthful, and let's be truthful here, for these schools like Allen and Benedict and Erskine, Limestone, one of the major reasons, if not the major reason, is that you have football, is to increase enrollment, male enrollment. You bring in, some cases, you could have 200 new students coming in every year. These students are getting student loans. These student loans go to the schools. I mean, it's a kind of a cash grab in a lot of ways. So, I mean, that's generally the idea behind starting these football programs. And then you hope the football program can bring some pride and some excitement and some enjoyment to your fan base and to your alumni, and maybe eventually generate some revenue for you. But at the outset, it's very expensive. It's a tough, hard growth process. And, the idea was to get more people on campus, and that's what they've done. And so here at Allen, I mean, they're taking their steps gradually. I can remember when we first started coming to Allen, 4 or 5 years ago after Coach Keaton restarted it. I mean, we were over in the gym, and they didn't have anything. He had a plan. They were NAIA. He had a dream. He had a plan. And he told me, this is my goal. This is what I hope to do. And he's gradually, I'm sure with the help of some donors and the administration, he's gradually getting the program closer and closer to what he wants it to be, a solid Division II program with their own facility, their own practice grounds, and fan support. So hard work is paying off. Dedication and having a focus is certainly starting to show its benefits here at Allen. So we are here at Allen. We're going to talk to the Yellow Jackets after the 7 o'clock break. I was over at USC this morning. Last open periods for the media to watch the Gamecocks practice. We got to watch 6 periods this morning. And the Gamecocks were missing a few key players. Some were expected. One wasn't, and that was Nick Harbor, the freshman receiver, who was not seen by the media. Now, it could have been anything. It could have been he was in class. Classes started today at USC. He could have had a class conflict, or he might have had some academic obligation. Not aware of any injury or anything like that. He was in the scrimmage last weekend, according to Shane Beamer. So I'm not saying there's anything to be concerned about there. There was no information provided to us, but he was obviously noticeable by not being noticed at the practice.
Yeah.
And Juice Wells remains out, as was expected. Trey Knox was back. He was practicing full speed. He had a brace on his knee that's been a little banged up, but he was out there practicing. And we watched the Gamecocks go through some drills. We watched them go through some tempo. Nothing out of the ordinary there. Rattler at quarterback and offensive line still being shuffled around a little bit. Different guys playing different positions as they continue to kind of try to decide on who their top 5, maybe their top 8 are for their offensive linemen. DeCarrion Joyner, the first-team running back, no question about that. He got the carries with the first team. So Gamecocks continue to do their thing, as does Clemson and the other schools around the state as we get ready for the start of the regular season. And, of course, tomorrow night we've got the start of the high school football regular season for most everybody in South Carolina. There'll be some who won't play week 0, but the week 0 thing has grown on people, Chris. More and more are playing week 0, then taking a week off later on in the season.
That's why, because they get that opportunity with the expansion of their schedule to take a week off. Normally it's right before you begin region play, which is obviously the way the playoffs are set up, much more critical than your non-region games. So if you have an opportunity to play this week and get a week off right before region play, that may get some guys healthy back for the most important games of the year. That's why more and more, I think we'll get to a point where everybody plays on week 0. And maybe at that time, the high school league will realize that it is physically impossible to play football on a week 0 and call it week 1 as it should be. And there may be some games, if I'm not mistaken, around the state tonight to open up the year.
Yeah, that's possible. Remember, they had the problem last year, and I'm sure it's carried over to this year, but they don't have enough officials. And so you have to have officials working, some on Thursday nights and some working on Friday nights. So I wouldn't be surprised about that at all. All right. And also we'll hear from Mike Morgan at 6:35. Mike Morgan on the Move, will join us at 6:35 tonight. Move Mike up a little bit early because of our visit here over at Allen. And we'll try to get to some interviews with Gamecocks and Tigers as well. We could take some phone calls here early on, too. The phone number is 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on Sports Talk. And anything else on your mind, anything catch your attention today elsewhere that you want to touch on before we go to the break?
Not unless you want to know of game prep for North Myrtle Beach and Sockasty, which I have tomorrow night. I spent a good bit of the afternoon working on that. And but aside from that, no, really not a whole lot in the sports world. One of the slower days. I didn't see any expansion news today, which is kind of rare. But I didn't see a whole lot breaking outside of normal football practice stuff today.
All right, one note about South Carolina athletics. There's a Board of Trustees meeting tomorrow. On the agenda, according to David Cloninger of the Post and Courier, on the agenda for the Board of Trustee meeting tomorrow, employment agreement for head baseball coach Mark Kingston. So that's finally going to be put to bed tomorrow. I would imagine, we talked about this before, after the season, considering now he is down to 2 years left on his contract, I believe, coming off the season they just had. I would think they would bump him back to 4 or 5 years and improve his salary at least a couple of $100,000. He's down around $600,000. I would think they would want to bump him up to maybe 8, maybe 900, and take that contract back 4 or 5 years, and hope that what they saw this past season was not an accident, and they will continue to build on that success in 2024.
I would agree. And the way they phrased that employment contract, that sounds more like it's going to be a situation where he's getting maybe a new expanded deal, more so in terms of length of contract. Obviously, with it will become a raise, I would imagine. But when they phrase it differently, if it's just going to be a bump in pay, or would that also be
I don't know. I don't know about trustees
picking hairs, splitting hairs here or not.
Yeah. I don't know. But I just, the bottom line is he's getting something done to his contract.
Right.
That's going to keep him at South Carolina for the next few years, as long as things continue to go well. Okay, let's hit the break, and we'll come back with more. If you want to grab some airtime, do it now. 888-898-2525. That is the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for you here on Sports Talk. Also, saw a story today about the head football coach at the Louisiana High School, J.T. Curtis, closing in on the all-time high school victory mark, likely going to surpass John McKissick this coming season. We'll be back after the break.
It all builds up to this at Darlington Raceway.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs, why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Labor Day weekend big.
That's how you make a move. And around goes Truex.
Like Southern 500 big.
Yeah!
The only thing bigger than the action will be the experience of seeing it live.
Tight.
NASCAR playoffs weekend at Darlington Raceway, September 2nd and 3rd. Get your tickets today at darlingtonraceway.com. Discover South Carolina.
Hi, folks. This is Mike Morgan. I want to tell you about an exciting new product from my friends at Vision Air Solutions. Staying healthy in my line of work is so critical, and probably in yours as well. A large factor in all that is making sure we're breathing in healthy and safe air every day. That's where Vision Air Solutions comes in. They make sure your home has air purification for all the air pollution you can't see. Viruses, mold, bacteria, stale odors, cooking smells, and volatile organic compounds. They make sure your home is full of clean air and also offer HVAC duct cleaning and sanitation as well. Make sure you and your family are breathing clean air today by giving Vision Air Solutions a call today. 803-220-1811. That's 803-220-1811. Tell them Mike sent you.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown. Dumpster Plus is your solution to a more cost-effective and professional work site. Dumpster Plus provides a roll-off dumpster and porta-john in one. Give them a call at 803-500-5094 and ask them about 2 services for the price of one. It's 1 call, 1 delivery, 2 services. Locally owned and operated in Columbia, and that means you'll talk to a real live local person, ready to get what you need with a 24-hour turnaround guaranteed. Whether your worksite is residential or commercial, big or small, near or far, you'll save money with Dumpster Plus. Waste management solutions never look so good. Call Dumpster Plus at 803-500-5094. That's 803-500-5094 for Dumpster Plus.
George Bryant here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and wow, Tsunami Robbie, there is now an amazing technology that you can use when you train receiving large game without having to endure pain. Please explain.
George, that is the magic combination. I have 3 simple words to define that entire concept. Stimulation, not annihilation. Regardless of your training goals, there is a level of stimulation that is optimal for your desired gains. Tsunami Bar's flexible bar technology meets these demands because the user determines the level of stimulation with the amount of speed and force they impart into the bar or training device.
Hey, this is Phil Kornbluth. The Tsunami Bar is a terrific training device, whether you're working on your fitness or your golf game. It's convenient, it's easy to use, and you won't feel beat up afterwards. Be sure to click on the digital ad on SportsTalkSC.com and get 5% off any order using promo code BBB5. Don't wait. Order today.
Drop top course, rollie on my wrist, diamonds up and down my chain. Cardi B straight stunning, can't tell me nothing. Bossed up and not change the game. It's my big bump, he got all them girls.
Welcome back, everybody. Sports Talk tonight over at Allen University. We're in the lobby of Higgins Hall, which is one of the men's dormitories here on campus. Saw some of the basketball players walking around as well. Our phone number, 888-898-2525. Let's go to Gamecock Larry. First up tonight with us on Sports Talk. Always good to have GL with us. Gamecock Larry, welcome in. How you doing, man?
I'm back in the hospital, had another stroke, but everything gonna be all right.
To hear that.
Yeah, they go keep me a while. I just can't get into trash talking mode due to these health problems.
Yeah.
So I just want to know, Gamecock Nation, Clemson Nation, and 107 million thoughts and prayers. Everybody's going to be all right. But I got something I want to tell Mr. Phil about the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yeah.
I can't get into trash talking mode, but I got something I want to say. Bulldog Burt. Now, you call a restricted number. But let me tell you something, Bulldog Burt. I'm going to tell you right now, you all are going 12-0 this year. Bulldogs going 12-0. 12 arrests, 0 convictions. 12-0. But it's nice talking to you all. Just remember, I don't know how long I'm going to be in here, but I'm going to be all right. But I got a few more days maybe to get me squared away, get me back home so I can talk a little bit of trash about North Carolina. But everything's going to be all right. Love all y'all. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Love you, Larry.
Larry, thank you, man.
Bye-bye.
Hang in there, my brother. Hope you get well in a hurry and get back on your feet and get back to that trash talking. Got to have some good trash talking from Larry before we get to the season opener. 888-898-2525. Let's go to Andy in Columbia. Andy, welcome into Sports Talk tonight. How you doing?
Gentlemen, shout out to Gamecock Larry. Our prayers and thoughts are with you, my man. Get better soon so you can talk more trash.
Absolutely.
Corn, you spoiled my evening. I actually was called before you even said anything, and I was going to ask you, did we get away this year without giving the bum an extension?
Andy, how can you? That's just cold and mean.
You know what?
And you are very. You know what you are? You're unappreciative. You're very unappreciative. I mean, seriously.
You know what? I appreciate the baseball coach where you were last night. That's the best baseball coach in this state. Okay? And he's a Gamecock alumnus.
Landon Powell's done a great job. He's done a great job up at North Greenville. North Greenville and South Carolina are two different animals totally. Now, could he be successful if he ever became the coach of South Carolina? Possibly, probably. Mm-hmm. But the guy you got now proved to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that he can win and win big at South Carolina. He turned it around. Okay, he went from a bad year to really good year.
If I can step in.
Yeah.
Andy says this often. Why do you think he's a bum? What has he done that has convinced you he's a bum?
If Monty Lee wasn't by his side, this team would be just as bad as it's been all his other years. And
You're just not willing to give him any credit for anything.
Like watching paint dry on a wall.
You got to give him credit for hiring Monty Lee. He didn't have to.
What time tomorrow is the high school report going to be, sir?
Our high school scoreboard will be midnight. It'll be 10 to midnight. Yes, sir.
Okay, instead of normal time. Okay, looking forward to that. You gentlemen have a great evening.
All right, thank you very much.
So if Clemson's offense is really good, Garrett Riley shouldn't get any credits, and Dabo shouldn't get any credit for hiring him?
Be back in a moment.
Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. We're mostly clear overnight, low dipping down to 68. Now tomorrow, very nice. Sunshine-filled skies, 94 the high, less humidity. Look into the weekend. Saturday looks wonderful. Sunshine and 93, while on Sunday, mix of sun and clouds, a high of 92, about a slight 20% chance of an afternoon storm. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hey, this is Paul Romanstein, proud owner of Midlands Landscape and Lawns. Is it time for a new lawn? You need to start with a smooth grade done right. Then a must is a new Rainbird irrigation system that comes complete with a 1-year warranty. We will then help you know what turf is right for your yard. Tiff Tough Bermuda is a great turf for full sun. Then let the pros maintain your whole property and keep your new grass green and healthy and weed-free. At Midlands Landscape and Lawns, we hate weeds. So that's why you can find us at hateweeds.com. hateweeds.com.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Hillary has strengthened into a Category 2 hurricane off Mexico's Pacific coast and could bring heavy rain to the U.S. Southwest by the weekend. The National Hurricane Center is reporting that Hillary had maximum winds of 105 miles an hour and was expected to strengthen into a major hurricane and could brush land somewhere on the Baja California Peninsula by the weekend. Hillary was located 500 miles south-southeast of Los Cabos on the southern tip of the Baja Peninsula. While it was still far from land, the hurricane was moving west-northwest at 14 miles an hour. It was expected to take a northward turn and may survive as a tropical storm and cross the U.S. border. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 290 points, the Nasdaq dropped 157, the S&P 500 lower by 33. More details at srnnews.com.
My brother. Are you looking for free checking and free savings? Dave Ramsey here, telling you to go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank that's so big they lose the ability to treat you like a human being. At Palmetto Citizens, you're not just a number, you're a member. Join today at any of their 14 locations or at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
Hi, this is Chris Neely, Superintendent of the South Carolina Public Charter School District. I hope you'll join Kevin and me each Tuesday afternoon. We'll bring you Kids First, where we talk about educational issues and what we're doing to teach kids the right way. It's Kids First, Tuesday at 5:30, right here on 100.7 The Point.
Well, now here's an interesting letter the folks at Bergen Roofing recently received. This one's from Gail. Says, I just wanted to say thank you for your honesty and integrity. You had just done my neighbor's roof. She was really happy, so that's why I called you for a second opinion. She goes on to say, I knew there was something fishy about the other company I asked to come out. I will tell everyone I know about how good Bergen treats their customers. Well, Gail, Stuart and his team thank you for your kind words, and Bergen doesn't believe in fleecing people, so you're right. Bergen also doesn't require a contract just to inspect your roof. In fact, please be wary. Please check the fine print of any company that does. You see, Bergen doesn't require a signature until you agree on a price, and this is so unique. I love this. Bergen won't take a dime until the job is done and the homeowner is satisfied. Use a reliable company that is A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. Better yet, just call Stuart and his team at Bergen Roofing. They have an A+ rating, and I'm totally confident when I recommend them. They have earned the right to be called your neighborhood roofer. Call Bergen Roofing today, 798-ROOF. That's 798-7663.
The pipes burst, you're getting the repairs done. Now it's time for your flooring. This is where the flooring department shines. We don't have a huge multi-million-dollar showroom, but we all buy from the same manufacturers. So why pay more? We're locally owned and have 30 years experience in the flooring industry, and we stand by our work. Get tremendous customer service and great pricing with the flooring department, 951-3567, or online at theflooringdepartment.com. That's 951-3567 or 951-FLOR, the flooring department.
Pardon me, ma'am. Are you interested in lowering your energy usage and saving money?
Make it quick.
Did you know that Dominion Energy offers heating and cooling rebates up to $750?
That's a lot of money.
Yes, it is. And it comes in handy if your system fails and you need a replacement.
Any restrictions?
For starters, your new equipment must be Energy Star qualified.
That's a good thing.
Go to DominionEnergySC.com and click Save Energy.
DominionEnergySC.com it is. Thanks for the tip.
Certain restrictions apply.
Hi, I'm Karen Pickard. And I'm Katie Griner. Every Tuesday at 8:30 to 9 a.m., we'll be talking about issues that concern seniors and their families.
So join us right here on The Point Radio for the Positive Points on Aging, brought to you by Oakley Village of Lexington.
Well, I'm confused. I'm very, very confused. I can be confused over a number of different things, but we talked earlier about no Nick Harbor at the USC practice, and we were talking among the media, and I mentioned it on the show that maybe it was related to classes. It says here on the Gamecock preseason football schedule today, August 17th, practice 12. And first day of classes. Pat's telling me, though, classes don't begin till next Thursday.
That's right. That's what the university is saying, too. So I think Pat's probably spot on this one.
So is the USC student, again, our intern extraordinaire in here, JP, he is currently a student at USC and confirmed they do not start classes till next Thursday.
Okay, so then obviously classes would not have been a reason today, unless it has something to do with maybe registering or who knows. Okay, I'm just telling you what we were thinking about out there, and it says here on the schedule, first day of classes. Why would I think any different about that? So obviously, though, not classes today at USC. So, and it did make me kind of wonder. But you know what? I saw pictures. Well, they must be moving in. I saw pictures of USC sent out pictures of families moving in the other day, but I guess classes haven't started yet. Okay, well, whatever. We'll find out eventually. There's no media access at USC until next Tuesday. So let the rumors begin, but I'm sure that it's nothing, and I'm sure that when Shane Beamer meets with the media next Tuesday, he will tell everybody that it was not DEFCON 3 again, and nothing to panic over, and everything's fine, and whatever. So I'm just telling you a little bit that I know what I happen to know here. So, okay. Well, thanks for straightening that out. Seldom, if ever, do they get that wrong on the schedule. Yeah, there is a little alarm. We had the alarm going off yesterday with Dabo Swinney as he was doing his press conference at the stadium. Mm-hmm. And there's some teeny weeny lights sounding alarm going off behind me here in some kind of electrical unit. So you're going to hear a little beeping out there.
Let's
in the
put
back.
it this way. Certainly less obnoxious than the one that Dabo had to try and talk over yesterday at the football stadium.
No, I went back and listened to some of that audio yesterday or today that you had posted from that. And you're right. That came blasting through.
If they ever have a problem on campus, they're going to know exactly where it is because you could probably hear that alarm all the way to Pendleton.
All right. It's a Thursday night. We are here at Allen University, Higgins Hall, right outside the football practice field. They have wrapped up practice, and we'll have Coach Keaton, a couple of players coming up. In fact, I'll tell you who we've got coming up as far as the players go. We're going to have Donovan Chappelle, who is from Baltimore, but he went to Orangeburg-Wilkinson High School, and linebacker Justin Eaton out of Stratford High School. So they will be our players who will join us in a little bit. Do we have Mike Morgan standing by?
We sure do. Ready to roll.
All right. Well, let's do it with Uncle Mike. Mike Morgan on the move, joining us here on Sports Talk on this Thursday night. Mike, of course, is brought to you by Chad Shealy and the folks at Visionaire Solutions, now serving South Carolina for over 3 years. Chad Shealy and Visionaire Solutions and Prevent Cleaning Service, they're getting it done. Is dust a problem? Allergies, odors, stale air? Clean air is healthy air, so breathe easy. Call the great folks of Vision Air today. For you and your family, they're worth it. 803-220-1811. They're also offering dryer vent maintenance, so don't put it off. Be safe. Call 803-220-1811. Let Chad Sheely, Vision Air, make your home a cleaner and healthier home. All right, let's welcome in Mike Morgan. Morgan on the move with us here on Sports Talk. And, you know, we spend so much time talking football with Mike. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about one of his favorite topics, the Atlanta Braves. First of all, Mike, welcome into Sports Talk. How you doing?
Doing well. Good to be here. It's another hot day in hot Atlanta, and that team you talked about is playing some hot baseball. Got a day off tonight after sweeping your beloved Yankees.
Tell me about it. I've had to suffer through every stinking moment of that series. Not only did they spank the Yankees, they own the city of New York. I mean, they chewed up the Yankees and the Mets this year. It's embarrassing for those two teams how badly they were handled by the Braves. What do you see right now with this Braves team? I mean, a team that won a championship a couple years ago. This team, I don't know, you watch them more closely than I do, but this team seems to be maybe even a notch above that team. Is that possible?
It is. And keep in mind, that team that won the World Series did it without Ronald Acuna. He was out with an injury, with a knee injury. This team, I think you could make a really strong argument. It's the best top-to-bottom lineup the Braves have ever had. 1 through 9, not to mention a couple guys off the bench. When they're done, statistically and every other metric, you're going to look at it and you say, my goodness, it has never been that good. The only thing that I see as a potential roadblock, and this could be said of almost any team in the postseason, if you've got a couple of arms that aren't going right. You know, at times Strider has been vulnerable. At times Fried has just been hurt and has been fragile. You're still waiting on the return of Wright, and so it's not the best rotation I've ever seen. It's certainly not the best Braves rotation of all time, but it's been good enough, and the bullpen has been good enough. And they made 3 kind of under the radar deals. That's what Alex Anthopoulos does. Never the major deal that everybody wants or expects, but just 3 guys. You're like, oh, okay, we picked up 3 relievers. Why do I care? Because they're all going to play a role in this team and for this team in the postseason should they try and win again. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't talked about them much. I think we've almost gotten to the point, guys, where people just assume that the Braves are going to win the division. And if and when they do, it'll be the 5th one in a row. And so it's like, it has that feel of the 90s all over again. We're like, yeah, the division's fine, but we're all about winning the World Series now. I get it, but I've also been around here long enough to know it can easily turn around in a New York minute where you feel like you've reached that level, and then all of a sudden you can be down in the basement again if a couple things don't go your way. So it's a special team right now. The only concern, if I have any, is just that rotation.
Quick word on the Yankees, then we'll move on. And I only bring this up because they are the Yankees, and they're basically being laughed at by everybody who follows baseball, including listening to the Braves broadcast crew. I mean, there were times that Joe Simpson almost sounded sympathetic about the Yankees, like this was a AAA club trying to beat the Braves, the mighty, mighty Braves, and the Yankees they stumble all over themselves. They're being called unathletic. They have no pitching. They're too tied up in analytics. Boone can't manage. Cashman can't identify talent, and Steinbrenner won't do anything about it. So they've got complete chaos going on up there.
Yeah, well, Boone's not going to last. So enjoy the Brett Boone era while you can, because he ain't going to last. But the thing that stood out to me, and I actually went to one of the games. And you mentioned Joe Simpson. I was listening to his post-game show on the way back from the stadium, and he brought up a good point, the same thing that I saw. If you watch the body language of that Yankees team, even though they're technically still in the hunt, unlike the Mets, they look like a group that has already thrown in the towel. They don't run any ground balls out. It's just, I mean, you watch Aaron Judge, and I know he's got to protect his body. He gets hurt a lot. But, I mean, he doesn't try to break up a double play in the least. Everything is just jogging. Every at-bat is like, if I get a hit, great. If not, no big deal. It is the worst body language I've seen of a Yankee team ever. So that's a problem. That is definitely a problem.
Mike, back to the Braves real quickly. They have scored a Major League best 120-plus runs in the first inning of ball games this season. It's a remarkable stat for them. With your comments about the rotation, but looking ahead to the postseason, which they're obviously going to be a part of, when you can put pressure on your opponent in the playoffs that quickly in a ball game, how much does that take the pressure off maybe an average or a little bit above average rotation?
No, it's huge. It goes back to what I talk about. I think the rotation is being rewarded by that offense. I mean, that offense takes so much pressure, and you're right. Not only do they score a lot of runs, but they pounce on people. They pounce on them early. You know, if you're getting home from work and maybe you just tune into the game on a typical night, like the second or third inning, it seems like every time you do so, it's already 3-0 or 4-1 or 2-0. That's been the mark of the Braves all season long. And, you know, I don't know what to credit to it specifically about how come the runs have come early, other than to say, again, it's the best offense in baseball.
Mike Morgan with us. Morgan on the move here on Sports Talk. Let's turn our attention to football. So we've seen Auburn name their starting quarterback. Florida's named their starting quarterback. Of course, we know South Carolina's solid at quarterback. Kentucky's got their transfer quarterback. They're set, and on around the SEC. Who do you think right now, as you look ahead to the start of the season, where do you think the top of the quarterback chain is right now, and where do you see the bottom?
Well, you mentioned what might be the bottom, which is pretty surreal if you think about it, that Auburn and Florida are two teams trying to figure out who's worth a darn under center. I mean, Graham Mertz at Wisconsin was not exactly lighting the world on fire. You look at his career numbers, they're not great at all. And yet, he was the best thing Florida could muster up. Auburn, kind of a similar situation. I think a lot of people thought they would go with the guy who was already been there. Instead, they go with the transfer from Michigan State, who, again, didn't exactly light the world on fire in East Lansing. You could make a case that those might be the two least the two worst quarterbacks in the league. I hate to put it that way because, I mean, that sounds a little bit harsh, and maybe they prove me wrong, but when you stack it up against the top and even the middle, I mean, we know what the top looks like, right? It's Jaden Daniels of LSU. If you believe in Joe Milton, as some people believe he's going to light the world on fire, I'm not quite as convinced. Tennessee. It's Devin Leary, who is a proven commodity out of NC State. It's Will Rogers at Mississippi State, clearly a proven commodity, who's got a chance to break all of Aaron Murray's career SEC records. I mean, there's a lot of guys, even Swan at Vanderbilt. There's a lot of guys that I would put ahead of the two you mentioned at Florida and Auburn. I think it's still a pretty deep year for quarterback play in this league. I still think Jaden Daniels is the safest bet. Joe Milton has the highest top-end potential. He's like the Anthony Richardson of a year ago at Florida, although Anthony never really reached that potential. And, you know, Will Rogers will be playing in a different system, so he's not going to put up the same type of numbers. I think people are curious about Jackson Dart, too, at Ole Miss, you know, with Lane and what do they look like this year? And KJ Jefferson. KJ Jefferson would certainly be here in the top five from Arkansas. So it's a pretty, obviously we know Spencer Rattler, it's a pretty stacked league in terms of quarterbacks. I don't know if it's going to be quite last year where you had multiple first-round picks or a Bryce Young-type phenom, but it's still a very good year for quarterback play.
So we've got our first SEC team in action 1 week from Saturday, Nashville, Vanderbilt, and Hawaii. Now, they're doing a lot of work, and I've seen pictures around the Vandy Stadium. Are they going to be able to play a football game in there?
The field will be fine. I don't know if it'll be great to sit in as a spectator, but, you know, I mean, Look, they had to do something. Vanderbilt's an easy target in terms of their football facility over the years. I give them credit. They're finally putting some of that money that they've been stashing away, that SEC TV money, and they're actually spending it on football facilities, which is long, long overdue. So it's going to be an eyesore for this year. I mean, look, I remember doing a game at Missouri when they were under construction, a game Mississippi State when they were under construction. It's never convenient, but especially in this day and age with supply chain and rising costs and nobody wants to work and everything else that is part of the modern day economy, you're lucky if you can get this thing done inside of 12 months.
Mike Morgan on the move here on this Thursday on Sports Talk. And Mike, before we let you go, we could not let you appear on the program and not talk expansion, because that obviously is always the subject of du jour here in college sports. But the ACC was able to, I guess, heave a sigh of relief as the August 15th deadline went by with nobody bailing from the conference. Does that mean they're safe throughout the upcoming athletic season, or does Florida State continue to rumble a little bit, maybe not quite as noisily during football, but do you think they continue to try and pursue stuff behind the scenes and we may go through this all again next year?
I'm just going back to what I said about this when it all really got started and when Florida State started screaming from the mountaintop that they can and should be able to do better. If they could have found that loophole, they would have already left. They're still there. So keep talking. Talk is cheap. If they found a way to get out of that contract, they already would have been gone. The fact of the matter is they haven't. So unless you're going to find $120 million under the sofa seats or get that many donations or find yourself a real nice sugar daddy like some of these other schools have, like a Michigan State, a billionaire hedge fund guy who says, yeah, I want to be out of there so bad. Here's $120 million. Unless you are able to do that, you might get cozy with the fact that you're in that league for a while.
Mike, while on the topic of conference expansion, just one quick follow-up to that, but this is regarding the Pac-12, or now maybe the Pac-4. A lot of questions still surrounding, will it remain Power 5? Will we now have Power 4? What's going to happen? One thing I haven't seen discussed very much, there is an NCAA bylaw. Technically, conferences have to have 8 teams, but there's a rule where if teams leave, they're allowed to have under 8 teams for 2 seasons. Do you think we may realistically see the Pac-4 be a thing for at least 2 years and remain a Power 5?
Fair question, but no, I think that's going to happen sooner than 2 years. That being, they're going to merge with somebody. I actually think it's going to be the American, because I have more faith in Mike Oresco than I do a lot of the other conference commissioners. But regardless, they're going to take some type of deal, and they're not going to be a 4-team league for another 2-3 years. They're going to have to be partners, and sometimes you got to pinch your nose when you make these deals. But that's what you're left with. You're not going to. You're not coveted by anybody else. So you're going to have to kind of go down a peg and join forces with teams you probably used to look down on and say, oh, well, they're Group 5 and we're not. Well, guess what? You're now bed partners. That's the new reality.
We've done a lot of nose pinching over the years, haven't we, Mike?
No doubt. No doubt about it. And that's just from the smell of the backseat of your car.
Okay, with that, we will bid you adieu, and we will talk to you next week.
All right, fellas. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you very much. Mike Morgan. I don't know what he's talking about. The backseat of my car smells exactly just fine. Don't know what his problem is. Mike Morgan with us. Morgan on the move. We appreciate Mike being with us, and he'll be back with us next week. And with that, let's give you the recruiting report tonight. And then after the top of the hour, we'll have the guys from Allen University with us. Coach Keaton is here. They've already had their practice this afternoon, so they're loosey-goosey and should be ready to go. Guess they've been fed. They've had dinner. Just don't fall asleep on us. I know what happens after you work hard, you have dinner, you're ready to knock off. Give me a few more minutes. Give you the recruiting report tonight. It is brought to you by our good friends over at Seawells. All right, Pat, we know what tomorrow is. In some parts of the world, it's Friday, but here in Columbia, it's something else.
Roast Beef Friday, celebrating a little RBF. Thanks again to Andy. Shout out for the name there. Along with this roasted sirloin of beef.
No. I gave it the name Roast Beef Friday.
No, that was Andy.
And their roast beef is not a bum, by the way. Definitely not a bum.
No. Who said it was a bum?
No, I said dovetailing off of Andy's comments about Mark Kingston. I called him a bum. The roast beef, not a bum.
No, it's not.
So along with the Roast Beef Friday, the Seawells will also have Southern Fried Chicken and then fried flounder. Don't forget Seawells connection with the local farmers. This time of year, have all your local farm fresh veggies, salad bar, and dessert.
You know, Coach Keaton, you ought to take your team out to Seawells tomorrow for their daily luncheon buffet. It's a Roast Beef Friday. And you got roast beef, you got flounder, you got chicken. Oh, yeah. They will eat well. They might not practice well afterwards, but they will eat well. And, and the very best, of course, in catering, if you got something that needs catering, give Seawells a call at 803-771-7385. Let them take care of all the hard work for you there. An update on defensive tackle Debo White, 6'4", 310, Concord, North Carolina. It's one of the big targets left on the board in the 2024 recruiting season. He made official visits in June to USC and Virginia Tech. He recently named a Final Five of USC, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida State, and Coastal Carolina. He's been to games in Columbia. His new coach at Robinson High School is former Blythewood coach Jason Seidel. And he knows Gamecock football. Seidel does. He knows Gamecock football pretty well from his days in Columbia. He told us that Shane Beamer and those coaches are doing the right things with White, that White likes him a lot. He made his official visit there, and he liked the facilities. It's not far from home. There's a reason he's got the Gamecocks in his top five. So the season is now here, and the coach said that White really wants to focus on the season and enjoying the season with his teammates. So he believes that the recruiting, except for some weekend visits, will be put to the back burner. South Carolina will definitely get a visit from him for a game. He's also looking at visiting Tennessee and Florida State this fall. And he said that after the season, he'll get around to making his final decision. But right now, he doesn't have a feel for any kind of a favorite for him as he continues to go through the process. The coach says he's very disruptive in the middle at 6'5", 320. Hands are good. He's quick. He's just not a bull rusher. He says he can defeat the double team. So good all-around defensive player. The Gamecocks don't have a defensive tackle yet in their 2024 class. Offensive tackle Favor Edwin, drawing interest from Clemson, and he was offered by Auburn. Now our Transfer Portal John update. The Transfer Portal John update is brought to you by Dumpster Plus. Now, Coach Keaton, you got to go see this. Can you imagine a dumpster with a Porta-John built in it? They have such things right here in Columbia. It's called Dumpster Plus, locally owned and operated. It's a dumpster with a Porta-John in it. So like if you're a construction crew and you need a dumpster and you got to go, you got it right there, in the dumpster. You got a Porta-John built in there. I mean, it's the eighth wonder of the world, as we call it here on Sports Talk. The phone number is 803-500-5094. Ask them about the two services they offer for the price of one, the dumpster and the Porta-John. But we call it, here on Sports Talk, when we talk about transferring, we call it the Transfer Portal John, because guys are flushing their way out of the program, right? Former Texas A&M and Ole Miss receiver Chris Marshall, who at one point was considered one of the best high school players in the country. Of course, he's left A&M, he's left Ole Miss. Now he's going to enroll at Kilgore Junior College, which is out in Texas. Try and restart his career there and see if he can get back to the big time at some point. Okay, there you go with the recruiting report tonight here on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. Coming up, we'll have the folks here at Allen with us, and then more from USC and Clemson. And this note that I saw earlier today, as we see things develop in the world of the NCAA. How about this? A group of bipartisan Florida lawmakers led by Mike Waltz sent a letter to Charlie Baker, president of the NCAA, urging the NCAA to reconsider the eligibility of Florida State's Darrell Jackson Jr., whose waiver was denied. Jackson started at Maryland, then transferred to Miami, then to Florida State to be closer to his ailing mother. So they are turning to their politicians to see if they can get something done. No surprise there. We'll be back with the guys from Allen after the break.
By the way, before we do what's supposed to happen here, thank you for pushing the button. I thank you. Programming thanks you. America thanks you.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces, summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. China's defense minister promises to boost cooperation with Russian ally Belarus. Lisa Dwyer has the details.
Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu has visited Belarus and said China would increase military cooperation with Russia's neighbor, where Moscow is deploying tactical nuclear weapons. But the two countries have agreed to hold joint military exercises next year. Li visited Russia just before going to Belarus. Russian troops that were previously deployed in Belarus were part of Russia's invading force in Ukraine, and Russian troops and weapons still remain there. China claims to be neutral in the conflict in Ukraine, but accuses the United States and its allies of provoking Russia, and maintains strong economic, diplomatic, and trade ties with Moscow. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Average long-term U.S. mortgage rates have reached their highest level in more than 20 years. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
Mortgage buyer Freddie Mac says the average rate on the benchmark 30-year home loan rose to 7.09%, the highest it has been since April 2002. It was just under 7% last week. A year ago, the 30-year mortgage rate averaged slightly more than 5%. One economist says crossing the 7% mortgage rate threshold could result in a major contraction in the housing market this fall. The housing market has been competitive due to a lack of homes for sale. Home sales were down 23% in the first half of the year, and the lack of housing supply is one of the big reasons why. Mike Hemp in Washington.
Wall Street didn't like what it heard. The Dow Jones Industrial Average down by 290 points. The Nasdaq dropping 157, with the S&P 500 lower by 33. Oil up to $80.39 a barrel. More at townhall.com.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-940-6161. That's 1-800-940-6161. Or go to SelectQuote.com. That's 1-800-940-6161. SelectQuote. We shop. You save. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
Wall Street fell for a third straight day as rising yields in the bond market keep cranking up the pressure. We hear more on this story from correspondent Seth Sutel reporting from New York City.
Stocks closed lower for the third day in a row on Wall Street as rising yields in the bond market keep making stocks look more expensive. The S&P 500 lost 0.8% Thursday. August is on track to be the worst month of the year for the benchmark index. The Dow fell 290 points. That's about 0.8%. The Nasdaq Composite gave back 1.2%. Cisco Systems rose 3.3%. The maker of networking equipment reported better results for this latest quarter than analysts were expecting. The 10-year Treasury yield, which helps to set mortgage rates, is nearly back to where it was in 2007. The 10-year yield rose to 4.29%, Seth Sutel, New York.
News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. We're mostly clear overnight, low dipping down to 68. Now tomorrow, very nice. Sunshine-filled skies, 94 the high, less humidity. Look into the weekend. Saturday looks wonderful. Sunshine and 93, while on Sunday, mix of sun and clouds, a high of 92, but a slight 20% chance of an afternoon storm. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Don't you forget, pressing the button can also be enjoyable for you.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number, 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil, Chris, and Pat with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Sports Talk here on the Sports Talk Media Network. We are at Allen University tonight. We're here at Higgins Hall. We're in the lobby. We're just outside the practice field. We watched the Yellow Jackets practice some this afternoon. And now we are going to talk some football with Coach Teddy Keaton going into year 5 of this building process of a brand new program at Allen University. As I was saying earlier, brick by brick, stone by stone, step by step, things are moving forward. As Coach Keaton joins us now, great to see you again. Thanks for coming over.
Great to see you guys, Phil.
Am I right? Brick by brick, stone by stone, by step.
Exactly. First of all, I want to say thank you to you guys for always coming by every year.
Our pleasure.
Showing us love. You guys do a lot for our team and our community, helping them get an opportunity to be exposed, and I appreciate that.
It is our pleasure because you guys work just as hard as everybody else. Your guys are out there sweating and bleeding and fighting and cursing and playing football and trying to win some football games for this university.
Absolutely.
So since we were here last year, new turf for your practice field, that's a big step in taking this program forward.
Yes. Our administration has really committed to doing the things that help us, give us a chance to be successful. I knew when we took upon this project, it was going to be a little hectic, but, brick by brick, stone by stone, every year something different has happened. You can see it in our players. You can see it in the community, our student athletes, even around the campus. It's getting a nice vibe, and I'm loving it. So I think that we're doing a good job, and I got my hat goes off to my administration, my president, Dr. Ernest McNeely, my athletic director, Dr. Jasher Cox. Those guys have done a really good job of trying to make sure that we have everything that we need to give us a chance to be successful.
What do you think about practice to this point? Season is right around the corner. Where do you think you are overall as a team?
I love it. I think that we're doing a good job. We're taking step by step. Every day we're getting a little bit better. We got areas that we need to improve in, and I think they vastly watching film, correcting themselves. And I like the maturity of the team. I like the attitude that they have and the work ethic that they're putting towards it. They're allowing themselves to be coached. They're allowing the coaches to coach them. I think they're doing a tremendous job of being good, peer coaches to each other. And that's going to lead a long ways with the maturity of the team. Over the years, I've had a bunch of young kids, and now for the first time, I had over 90% of this team return, and we added some freshmen in. So we were able to have people here to set an example of the way that we want to do things here at Allen University.
Fantastic. I can remember talking to you, I think it was last year, maybe it's a couple of years ago, and you really wanted to throw the ball. You wanted to play a wide-open, fast-paced offense. Are you able to do that with this year's team? Is this team going to be built in that mold?
Always. That's my identity. The identity of me as a coach, I've been a wide open guy. I like to throw the ball. We still going to do that. The coaches that I hired to do that, we still do that. I still think we want to focus in on a little bit more controlling the ball and running a little bit more. We're an air raid team. That's what we are. That's what we do. And the kids love it, and we work hard at it.
Last year, the record, doesn't look great, 2 wins. But if you look at it week by week, there were 4 or 5 other games that were right there for the taking for you. So you were very competitive pretty much week in and week out. There were some games that got away from you, but you were pretty competitive week in and week out. So what kept you from kind of getting over that hump in those games, winning those games? And, how do you avoid that from happening this year?
I think the sometime when adversity hit our team last year, we would fall apart. I think the biggest thing is that when you have young kids, they have not played the game. They don't understand that there's 4 quarters. They go from playing, 12 minutes in high school to 15 minutes a quarter, 30 minutes. And then you change the atmosphere for them. They're playing in the middle of the afternoon. The sun becomes a barrier. It's a different type of shape to go in. And a lot of kids have played snaps for us coming straight out of high school, meaning that they left a field on Friday night and they came and they got a starting job in college. We all know that traditionally does not happen. And for the first time in program history, it took us 5 years to get here. We don't have that happening now. We have guys that's taken college snaps, played a lot of football, understand the grind of the game, understanding what to do, how to do it, why it's important for them to do it that way. And I think that, the way they're practicing, they understand the point that there are going to come times that adversity is going to happen, and they're learning how to overcome that. We call it play the next play. They're learning how to play the next play. Sometimes we will have a bad snap to happen. Everybody gets down on themselves, and then those plays just got 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row. You get them trickling down. Now the kids understand we can have a bad snap. We forget about it, and we go play the next play.
Looking at a couple of statistical things from last season, didn't run it all that well. Maybe that was because of the type of offense you want to run. You did throw it for about 250 a game, but you rushed for under 100. You feel like you got to get that number up, that rushing number up, to be the kind of offense you want to be?
That's no doubt about it. We're definitely taking a lot of time. The kids will tell you we focusing a lot heavy on the run game to get that going for us. So we're trying to get that in an area, and I think we got bigger up front. We got guys that got experience up front, so it allows us to open up the offense. And we got a plethora of backs other than 1 or 2 that can run the ball. We have about 6 that can really tote the ball, and I'm excited about that. So as the season progressed, I think those numbers will improve that's an area that we focused on this offseason and during spring ball.
Other thing that jumps out at me, in looking at the aggregate scoring, you won the first quarter for the season, but then you got handled pretty strongly in the second quarter, third. It went against you the last 3 quarters. So you got off to a great start. It looks like in most of your games, you outscored your opponents in the first quarter. What sort of happened? Was there a wear down effect? Was it maybe lack of depth in some areas that caught up with you as the games moved on?
Oh, again, that comes back to those kids being young. They have not played a lot of long football games. That sun plays a factor into it, and depth plays a factor into it. So guys, haven't played a lot of snaps. They don't know how to pace themselves through a game. They'll get up sometime, and then they'll just get relaxed because they think, oh, we're up by 21 now. We can just relax and chill. Mm-hmm. And I think that has taken a role for them to grow as young men. They are learning how to play as young men do.
Who's going to be your quarterback? How does your quarterback situation look, and some of your other skill position players?
David Wright III. He's back. He's healthy. He's going to be. He's everything that this team has been focused around for 2 or 3 years. Mike has done a really good job. He's our backup quarterback. Mm-hmm. He does a really good job. So, they're both back healthy. They've taken all the snaps during the spring ball. And our young Plummer, he's back. So he's doing a good job as he's growing and maturing into the offense as well. And at the skill guys, we got all those guys back. Jamal Jones is leading that group. And, Kevin's on defense. J.E. on the other edge. Donnie is the newcomer. He's joined the wide receiving corps. Looking for great things out of Donnie. There's a plethora of weapons that we have on this team, and it shows every day at practice. So we just trying to get better and let them understand that it ain't nothing about what we did last year. It's about everything that we've done this year moving forward.
And then there's a guy named Gary Barrage. We interviewed him last year.
Yes.
And he was quite impressive. And then he goes out and has a great year for you. 66 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, a sack and a half. So he's back.
Yes,
and so
back.
He's going to lead your defense. And You felt like it last year. I'm sure you feel like it this year. He's one of the better defensive players in Division II.
That's right. He's a really good football player. I recruited Gary when he was at Miles College, and he found out that I was here, and he came on over here with me. And Gary's been a great leader. He works hard in the offseason. Everything he does pays off for him on the field. When you work like that, you got to get a payoff from it.
So defensively, they gave up a pretty good number of points. Are you seeing some hope here in camp? The defense is going to be better, and you're going to maybe slice that number down to like maybe 20, 25 points a game?
Complete overhaul over there. So it's been a complete overhaul. It's almost a 360. Those guys are really doing a good job over there. They're making it difficult for us to move the ball on them every day. So we're in the top 5 in offense. So those guys are pretty good over there on defense right now, and they're doing a really, really good job. I think we overhauled coaches. We brought in a couple of new coaches to coach the secondary. Nathan Stork, who played at South Carolina for Coach D. Spurrier. He's coaching over there. EJ Jr., who played linebacker at Alabama. He's All-American. He just got inducted into the College Hall of Fame. He's coaching the linebackers. L.C. Cole is the defensive coordinator, played at Nebraska. Those guys have really done a really tremendous good job over there of getting those guys ready to play football.
What do those guys think about what you're doing here? I mean, you're talking about guys that played football at the highest level, and they're used to all the things that come with that, and they're on the ground floor, basically, of this building project.
Well, seeing is believing. They know me, and I tell people vision is not in your eyes, it's in your heart. They understand my heart. They know where I'm going with this. They see the production. They've watched it mature over the years, and this recruiting class really spoke volumes of where I'm headed at, and I think every kid believes in what we're selling here at Allen University. I knew it was going to take some time. I done took 25 losses here since I've been here, but I knew that going in, but the vision is still there. It's there. Now, we got one word as our team term this year is relentless. We want to be relentless in our pursuit of excellence this year, and we're going to work hard, and we're going to know that we got to fight, and we got to do the things that we need to do in order to give ourselves a chance to be successful.
You know, we've been over here, I think, all 5 years you've been here, so we sort of watched this thing from the inside out. I remember you showing me around in your football offices, and when you were NAIA,
that's right,
and you were saying, you know, we're going to go Division II. And my question is, I mean, I just think this is a great story, what you do to make do with what you have, and I'm just wondering why, you know, have any of the national folks come over here to take a look at what you're doing and make a story out of the fact that you practice in the front yard of your dorm, you got one goalpost, you use a deer stand for shooting your video. I mean, you make do with what you got. Nobody over here is complaining, don't get me wrong. You got what you got and you're working with it. But to me, this is like a feel-good national story if somebody would jump on it.
Well, I think so too myself. I think these kids that prior to these guys coming, they understand that we were out here practicing sometime in the sand and the stones and the rocks.
Yeah.
And like I said, my hat goes off to my administration. They've made a way. When you're in the city, you're land restricted. So you know that's going to be hard. And Allen doesn't own as much land around here as they could. So they found a spot. We cleared it off. This was a parking lot at one point in time. And they got it, and we dug it out. We cleaned it out. The farmers came in, helped us, did all that. And I was really happy of what we've been able to make this out of. When I walk out here, I got a sense of pride for Allen University and the work that I've done here. I told a guy the other day that I might not be here to see it matriculate. It might be 20 or 30 years down the road, but I will always be able to say what I helped put my hands on and did something that will last longer than wins and losses will.
Absolutely. And tell everybody what's coming down the road. And I mean down the road to Notch Road, but also down the road calendar-wise.
Well, we got our opportunity to build a stadium. You know, we bought some land. We made a purchase on the land. Now we're in the habits of trying to get that laid out and get the permits and get everything ready, rock and rolling there. So hopefully by next year, we'll kick off our season in our stadium. I know this has been warp speed for most people.
Yeah.
And most people looking at like, how are they doing it so fast? Well, like I said, vision is not in your eyes, it's in your heart. Some people wouldn't even touch this with a 10-foot pole because it doesn't have everything you want. But I always had a motto, less is more. Difficulty takes a day, impossible takes a week. I'm trying to make the impossible possible, and I think I'm well on my way to make that happen.
Wow. Tell us a little bit about what the stadium will look like, how much it will seat, what do you have envision for that?
We got it's going to be very comfortable. I want something that's intimate, not too big. We want about 5,000 to 7,000 people. We don't want a lot. We want something that it doesn't overtake them.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have a mass following yet, but we also want to be able to help some of the high schools. Maybe some of the high school games that want to host the game there sometime. We could do those things, but we wanted to be community based and help everybody out. And just spread the love.
Spread the love. Winning spreads love.
No doubt about it.
Winning spreads love. Good luck this season. Thank you for joining us. Really appreciate it. Always enjoy coming over to see you.
Thank you.
And remind everybody that you only play 3 games outside the state. So you got a lot of games in South Carolina. Erskine, Columbus State, Kentucky State, Fort Valley State, Clark, Atlanta. You'll play Edward Waters, and then you'll play at Benedict. So
that's right.
You're not going to be out of the state too much.
Well, this is the first time since we've been here we haven't had to play Road Warriors. So we're happy about the opportunity to be able to play at home and be able to give our kids some comfortable, to be able to get up and get out of their bed and not have to travel and different things of that nature there. So I think our kids going to appreciate that, and we will too.
And this year you'll play where? Your home game?
We'll play at Westwood as we did it before. We thank Westwood for the hospitality that they give us. It's a beautiful atmosphere. They do all their best to make things good for us. So we appreciate the folks at Westwood and Richland, too. They do a really good job for us, allowing us to host our game there, and we greatly appreciate them.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
And we'll be talking to you and hopefully see you during the season.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Have a good day.
That is Coach Teddy Keaton. We're going to go to the break. When we come back, we will be joined by a couple of the Yellow Jacket players. And as I mentioned before, Donovan Chappelle. Is that a comedian's name, Chappelle? We'll see if he can tell jokes.
Dave Chappelle, yeah.
Yeah, Dave Chappelle. Maybe they're kin. And Justin Eaton from over at Stratford High School. Those guys will join us after the break. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Jim Corbett. I've been an attorney for more than 30 years. There's one thing I've learned about injury cases. It's you need the personal touch. You need the lawyer to get to know you and describe your damages. You don't want a case manager talking to an insurance company and then talking to you and then talking to maybe to a lawyer with limited experience at the last minute to try to settle a case. I talk to you. I find out what your case is about. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com. Jim at JimCorbettAttorney.com for your injury cases.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Summer weather has arrived in South Carolina, and you know what that means. Sweet, tasty South Carolina peaches are hitting shelves near you. Most people tend to think of Georgia as the peach state, but South Carolina is the East Coast's top producing peach state, so we know a thing or two about a great tasting peach. The next time you're in the grocery store or local farmer's market, keep an eye out for those sweet, tasty, certified SC peaches. Discover more about the tastier peach state at scpeach.org.
Bragging about. Founders Federal Credit Union is offering our 12-month certificate at a 5.04% annual percentage yield, or APY, and our 12-month IRA certificate at a 5.30% APY. Don't miss this opportunity. A $500 deposit is all it takes to make these great rates work for you. Rates accurate as of June 1st, 2023. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/dividend-rates. Terms, conditions, and restrictions apply. Membership qualification required. Federally insured by NCUA.
Major Downer here from the South Carolina Department of Natural Resources. Boating season is just around the corner. To make sure that your boat is ready, check your registration sticker and ensure it's current. Find your registration card, make sure your life jackets are in good shape, and check your fire extinguisher as well. For more information on boating or boat titling questions, visit dnr.sc.gov/boating.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's Palmetto Pigskin Tour Stop. We're at Allen University tonight. We talked with Coach Keaton. Now we welcome in a couple of the Yellow Jacket players, Donovan Chappelle and Justin Eaton. Justin's from Stratford. He's a linebacker. Donovan's a receiver from Orangeburg Wilkinson.
Yes, sir.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Great to see you. So, Justin, let's start with you. You've been in the program a few years. Things are happening. What do you think about the direction of everything?
I love it. I think we're going up. When I got here, it was holes, sand. People was having ACL injuries, falling in potholes. It was just like we really got it out the mud, honestly.
Yeah. How much does this practice field, and I know it's practice fields are important. I mean, schools put a lot of money into it. How much do you think this has helped the team in preparing for this season?
Honestly, tremendously. It just gives us that confidence that people are putting money for us to compete and get things that other schools have. So it just gives us like appreciation of what we can get.
Some enthusiasm.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Donovan.
Yes, sir.
You're from OW.
Yes, sir.
Baltimore, but OW.
Yes, sir.
Your coach here, Jackie Robinson, was
Yes,
a
sir.
star there before he went to Clemson. Tell me about playing for him, what it's like learning under him, and I'm sure you guys reminisce a lot about the Bruins.
Yes, sir. It's truly a blessing. Like he coached me my 9th grade year, so with just knowing him and knowing him out of high school and just coming here and playing for him, it's just like truly a blessing. It's just like just like I just knew it, just like a second father to me.
Yeah. What sort of things is he teaching you? What are some of his traits? Some of his tricks of the trade?
He's just really teaching me how to be a better receiver overall. I'm a kind of big guy. I'm 6'3", and he likes to use my height, so he just teaches me how to be a better receiver, how to get down, get shifty, and all that. So,
you redshirted last year. Was that good for you?
Yes, sir. It was because I got bigger, got stronger. I had to learn the game. A lot of receivers don't come straight out of high school and like have success at the college level. So redshirting last year helped me a lot.
They love to throw it here.
Yes, sir.
You got to love that. Do you like going across the middle?
Oh, well.
He called himself there, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, me being a bigger receiver is kind of hard, but it's not because they'll throw it up and a linebacker. That's a kill shot. But,
yeah.
Sometimes you just got to take one for the team.
You prefer something down the sideline, maybe
yes,
a back shoulder fade or something like that. You like that, don't you?
A jump ball.
Yeah. You go get those?
Oh, yes, sir, definitely.
Were you a basketball player too?
Oh, no, sir.
Really?
No, sir.
Strictly football, huh?
Yes, sir.
Talking with Coach, and look, you got to get better on defense. You got to cut down on how many points you're giving up. What are you seeing from the defense out there?
Just discipline. A lot of us were young. We're bringing everyone back, and it's just about the little things. We lost 5 games in a collective 8 points, and that all came down to discipline, not doing our assignment when it came down to those clutch moments. So I think the biggest thing is just discipline, and that's what we got a lot of good leadership and just discipline, honestly.
You might have heard me mention to Coach that, you guys won the first quarter.
Yes, sir.
Across the season, but then second, third, fourth quarter, you were
Yes, sir.
defeated. So, and he pointed out that maybe the youth and maybe not used to playing the length of the games, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, sir.
I mean, could you sense that out there as the games wore on, that the guys were maybe losing discipline and losing confidence?
Yes, sir. We get these big leads in the first quarter, and then we get complacent. We kind of feel like we're winning the game, and it's like when you get a team like that, you got to crush them from that point. You need to just keep going, and that was the biggest thing with us being a young team. We didn't know how to finish, and that's a big thing with us this year. We got a lot of more experience, and we understand those little things. We make the right play one time, we won those 5 games. That's a 7-2 team right there.
Mm-hmm.
So those are just little things that we picked up and that we've gotten tremendously better at.
Donovan, fill us in on David Wright, the quarterback, what he's like to catch passes from. What kind of ball does he throw?
Hey, David is awesome. I mean, like, it's just the spin on the ball. David's a great quarterback. I know he got hurt last year. He couldn't finish out the season, but David's back and he's better. I feel like he's a better quarterback than when he was last year. David's a great quarterback.
He puts the ball in a good spot for you?
Yes, sir. Every time.
What's it feel like? Does he a guy that burns your hands, or what's?
I mean, David's gonna put some zip on it. Every time he's gonna put some zip on it. He's gonna make sure you get the ball. He's gonna make sure he make the best play as possible as for his receivers. So I like catching passes from David.
So you guys are right here. Everybody knows you're right across the street from Benedict. Their football thing is right down the street from you here. So how much do y'all cross paths with the Tigers, and what would it mean to you to get them this year?
Honestly, we stay on our side of the street. They stay on their side of the street. That's just the way we do it. I mean, we'll see them at the end of the season, and that's all we need to say about that. But we'll see them.
Yeah,
definitely. I mean, they stay on their side, we stay on ours. I mean, it's really not no beef until it come down to game time.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you see you guys catching up with those guys? Are you making up ground on that program? It's an older program than you guys, obviously, but do you see yourselves making up some ground?
We honestly can feel like we compete with anybody. We're a newer team and we're just advancing in a way, but we feel like we compete with anybody. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah, Donovan.
I mean, saying like, we just restarted our program 5 years ago, and I feel like we can compete with anybody in the country.
Well, you got a great schedule.
Yes, sir.
Chance to win some ball games, mostly right here in South Carolina. Thank you guys for being with us. Number one thing is to have a healthy season.
Yes, sir.
Get through it in good shape, win some ball games, and we look forward to following you this season.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you. Have a nice one.
We'll be back after this break here on Sports Talk.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here is tonight's forecast. We're mostly clear overnight, low dipping down to 68. Now tomorrow, very nice. Sunshine-filled skies, 94 the high, less humidity. Look into the weekend. Saturday looks wonderful. Sunshine at 93, while on Sunday, mix of sun and clouds, a high of 92, about a slight 20% chance of an afternoon storm. I'm Kevin Cohen with your On Point local weather.
Hi, this is Adam from Aladia's in Lexington. We're open and looking forward to your next visit. Come by and see us for dinner. Not only are we back, so are some of your favorite dishes like chicken marsala, red pepper gouda bisque, and Tuscany chicken. These and so many of your favorite Italian dishes prepared with our homemade family recipes. Come visit tonight for dinner in Lexington at 101 West Main Street. We're eager to help you create a memory at Aladia's. Thank you for all your loyal support.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting a strengthening Hurricane Hillary is near major storm status off Mexico's Pacific coast, and it could bring heavy rain to the southwestern U.S. by the weekend. The National Hurricane Center says Hillary had maximum winds of 110 miles an hour at mid-afternoon Thursday, just 1 mile an hour before a major Category 3 hurricane. The storm is on a projected path that threatens landfall in the central Baja California peninsula by Sunday, and possibly keep just offshore and head for Southern California. Lawyers for Donald Trump have asked a federal judge to set an April 2026 trial date in the case in Washington, charging the former president with conspiring to overturn the results of the 2020 election. On Wall Street, the Dow down by 290 points, the Nasdaq dropped 157. More details at srnnews.com.
My brother. It's that time of year again, the time where hunters absolutely celebrate. If you're an outdoorsman, oh, this is your month. There's no better place to start your hunting season than over at Shooter's Choice on Sunset Boulevard in West Columbia. The staff is made up of hunters. Yes, they actually love to get out themselves and hunt, just like you do. So let these experts help you get your hunting package all put together. We all know that ammo really matters, and it's still going to be hard to find at times, so please don't waste it. Let Shooters get you a new scope to help you with accuracy and not wasting that precious ammo. Shooter's Choice has a super scope sale going on this month. Maybe it's time to get that new rifle for the hunt. Shooter's Choice has a monster huge selection. So what are you waiting for? The hunt is on. Online, it's shooterschoicesc.com, or make a visit. Come on in. Go see him. Sunset Boulevard, West Columbia. Make it your first choice. Your best choice. Make it Shooter's Choice.
Hey, honey, do you remember if Dad took his meds this morning?
You know, I'm not sure.
He isn't either. Keeping up with his meds is overwhelming.
You know, True Pharmacy packages medication. They showed me a sample, and it even separates them by date and time of day.
Something like that would be really helpful for Dad. And for me.
Even better, it's free, just for being their customer. True Pharmacy, 1628 Charleston Highway and 3217 Devine Street. Or TrueRxSC.com.
It's the Cigar Militia, Columbia's premium cigar store. It's that time of year. It's golf weather. Are you going golfing this weekend? Be the guy bringing the sticks, not the guy that borrows. Come by and refill your humidor or just pull off the interstate for a smoke and a cold beverage. Our friendly and knowledgeable staff will help you. You could be a novice or a seasoned veteran. Our friendly staff will walk you through the humidor and answer your questions. We're at 1410 Colonial Life Boulevard next to the melting pot.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client? Maybe an outdated news article or sensitive personal information about your family? Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair. Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
All right, got some high school football going on, huh? Heathwood Hall and Great Falls, 21-0. The Hall on top, one of the first high school games of the season going on tonight. Don't forget, tomorrow night brings us back to the high school football season, and that means the high school football scoreboard will be on the air beginning at 10:05. Founders Federal Football Friday night returns to Sports Talk. We are pumped. We're actually going to be doing it from Chicago. Got to run up to Chicago tomorrow for some family business. I know. And crazy.
Nothing says South Carolina high school football quite like Chicago, Illinois.
Hey, man, I've done the scoreboard from Houston. I've done it from Syracuse. I've done it from everywhere. Why not Chicago?
Hey,
all right.
Cross it off the bucket list.
Looking forward to having the scores for you. And, of course, Sports Talk tomorrow night. David Shelton will join us. He'll preview the games around the state. Then we'll have the scores for you from 10 to midnight. Got a great array of stations once again from all across the state, from Greenville across the upstate, and over in the Spartanburg area, of course, and down in Charleston, here in Columbia, over in Florence, and Orangeburg, and Sumter. You'll have a hard time not finding us. But if you can't find us over the air, of course, everything is streamed. By the way, I want to mention, we don't do podcasts per se. Because we like to do things live. That's what we do. We do live radio, not knocking podcasts. Apparently some people like podcasts. They like doing podcasts. That's fine. I like doing things live. However, we take the show in elements and we put it in podcast form for you. And we've added our podcast distribution now to Amazon Music and to Audible. So you can find us at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Audible, and SoundCloud. Okay, so whichever one you happen to like, you can find. Just look for Sports Talk Media Network or Sports Talk SC Podcast. I think is how it's labeled. There's a variety of ways you can find us. Okay.
Did you take a hammer over to that alarm and go knock it out during the
break?
Did
I tell you I would fix it?
It's finally gone.
Did I tell you I would fix it?
Gone.
Well, I'll tell you what it was. There is a fire alarm box that sits right above my head here. It's by Siemens, and it looks like a very nice box. It is connected to a fire alarm over here on the wall, and I was told it's been beeping like that most of the day. And, I could have pushed a button and maybe shut it off. But then again, I could have pushed a button and the fire department would be outside this door in 5 minutes. So I thought the better of it. And I said, you know what? I'll put up with the beeping. I don't need the fire trucks pulling up to the front yard. And one of the basketball players, I was talking to him, and he said, somebody's coming, and he can fix it. And sure enough, he came in here and fixed it. So we thank him for that. Yeah, absolutely.
No doubt.
So we want to hear a little bit from USC. defensive ends coach Sterling Lucas because he's got an interesting job ahead of him. He lost Jordan Birch from his team last season. He's got to work in some new players. He lost Gilbert Edmond, who's down at Florida State, and trying to win a job there. Birch is going to be a starter out there at Oregon. What about the defensive end spot with the Gamecocks? Recently, Lucas met with the media for a question and answer session. So here we go with a little bit of that.
Sterling, kind of taking a little bit off the field just in terms of recruiting. How do you become a great recruiter? What's your process, to get to know these kids and kind of get in their lives and then start to see the results?
Absolutely. I think just recruiting is just, being authentic, just being yourself. Like you said, building relationships with guys and, selling the opportunity, really. And, South Carolina is a great school, great tradition. It's pretty easy to sell University of South Carolina, especially the trajectory that we're going and what Coach Beamer has done in the last 3 years, just the culture and everything. So it's a pretty easy sell. But like you said, just relationships and, just continue to be yourself. Because these guys, one thing that they say when they come here is they feel the culture. They feel how real the coaches are. They see our interaction with the players. And I think that just kind of carries itself.
Sterling, saying with that, I mean, it seems like you've been here for a much longer period of time. When you look back to when you first arrived at South Carolina, what are some of the things that you attribute to being able to get to that level of the success that you guys have been able to have from a recruiting standpoint, from an individual standpoint?
Yeah, I think, just getting acclimated, man, just coming right in, guys like Coach White and, Coach Beamer. I don't know if you remember, man, the first day on the trail, man, I think we were maybe in Jacksonville. Last year I was on they had me on a private plane. It was kind of giving me the ins and outs of recruiting, and then after that, that probably was the last time I was on a private plane. So got to be with the head coach to get on a private plane. All jokes aside, but yeah, just really just getting acclimated with all the guys. And like you said, I mean, this is home for me. I'm from South Carolina, and I am very comfortable here.
Sterling, kind of sticking with that, I know you can't mention the guy by name, but what was that day like and the hecticness of an announcement that maybe wasn't planned, and then having the twins and just all of that stuff kind of coming together?
It was exciting, man. It was an exciting day, man. Exciting day. I think it was August 1st. Like I said, my daughters were born. It was exciting. It was a great day all around. I know you guys saw that picture with me and Coach Beamer FaceTime, man. So that's epic. That's going to go down in history, man. But, August 1st, 2023 was a great day.
Kind of going on to the field now, what have you seen from these defensive ends so far going into practice now about a week into camp?
First of all, man, I love those guys' energy, man. I think this is day 6 today, our 6th practice. Just day in and day out, man, those guys are locked in meetings, on the field, just high energy guys, man. Jordan Strong doing really well, leading the way. We got a lot of great additions in JT Gear. We got Desmond Umazulu, Tariq Johnson, Brian Thomas, just everyone, man. Terrell Dawkins, Donovan Westmoreland, all those guys, man, everybody's going to have a role, and those guys are doing a really good job, man, just coming together, being locked in, and just buying into what we're doing here.
What's your message been, Tyreek? I mean, he got to play a little bit last year, and then now, I mean, he's finally healthy. It's his last shot. What's your message been, and what have you seen from him out there?
Really, it's, man, you got everything it takes to be a great player. He's one of the most physical dudes on the team, man. If you talk to Luke Day and our strength coaches, pound for pound, he might be one of the strongest guys on the team. And, just going out there and just getting the opportunity, like you said, he's healthy, just going out there and just executing and getting the opportunity to dominate, really.
Obviously, Dejou coming into his first season in Carolina, what have you seen from him from where he got on campus to where he is now?
Yeah, I think he's just continuing to get better. Obviously a year, he got here in the spring, so to me, that's equivalent of, he had a redshirt year. Just he's good on all the calls and everything, and just continue to progress and continue to get, bigger, stronger, faster like he did in the weight room. And now it's just time to just go out there and make plays.
For a guy like Jordan Strong, just how do you feel about him health-wise right now too, and then just coming back for a 7th season? What can he still kind of do to develop at this point?
Yeah, honestly, I mean, you can. It's always about getting better. So he's continuing to get better. The year he was off, he worked. He's gotten bigger. He's gotten stronger. And really, I think he looks better than what he did before he got injured on last year. So I'm really excited about where he is.
Sterling, when it comes to Terrell Dawkins, obviously came in last year, expect to make an impact, got hurt. How has this year been for him, kind of getting over that injury and trying to get back to where he was?
It's been good. Like you said, all of our guys are healthy. He's good, man. He's right in the thick of it. He's out there working just like all the other guys.
Sterling, I know there's a big focus from an entire defensive perspective about stopping the run a little bit better than y'all did last year. From the edge perspective, what can you guys do to improve there, and what are some other goals you'd like to see this group achieve this year?
Just a defense as a whole, man. You know, we talk about listening, learning, to continue to grow and just tackle when it comes to the run game. You know, that's Coach White's message. You know, listen, learn, grow, and tackle. At the end of the day, just get people on the ground and, you know, continue to do what we do. But I do feel like we're progressing and we're getting better in that area.
Sterling, what has it been like working with Travian Robertson since your group and his group in particular? You guys work a lot together, I'm assuming. And what would you tell people about his coaching style so far? Because obviously, as you know, there's a lot of Gamecock fans that are excited that he's back in Columbia.
No doubt, man. We're excited to have Trey Rod, man. He's doing a great job. Obviously, he's a high-intensity guy. You know, I know a lot of you guys know him from his playing days here, man. I call him the mayor here in Columbia, so everybody's happy that he's back. I actually knew him through some mutual friends back in the day. One of my best friends in college went to high school with him, Scotland County. So it's great working with him, man. I'm glad he's here.
Sterling, when it comes to, again, with recruiting with Nick and Desmond, were there any kind of, crazy things that happened during those two's recruitment, or any kind of stories that you could relay from when you were recruiting those two young men?
I think you probably heard, probably all the stories about Nick, how it came down to the end and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, man, relationships won out. You know, Coach Beamer did a great job with Nick even before I even got here. You know, I think he was, if you talk to Nick Harvey, he'll tell you the story of when he came here with his coach 2 years ago, going into his junior year or whatever. And Coach Beamer was the first one to meet him outside. So that really resonated with him. And that just speaks volume to Coach Beamer as a head coach. Just to answer your question.
All right, there you go. Sterling Lucas, very popular USC defensive ends coach, doing a terrific job for them recruiting-wise and on the field, trying to develop that talent. And a native South Carolinian getting a chance to coach in his home state. So I know he's happy about that. Just a moment, we'll hear from Clemson wide receiver Antonio Williams. Just checking on a couple of other things here. Oh, I wanted to mention, out at USC practice today, Charlie Brown, former NFL, South Carolina State, great receiver, been coaching football in our state, and he's over at Dillon High School. Coach Roller was in to watch USC practice today, and they came walking by and got a chance to talk to him briefly and say hello to Charlie Brown. So that was pretty cool. Remember when he was, obviously he was great at state, but remember when he was in the NFL?
I don't remember his career probably as well as I should. I bumped into him a couple of times when he was coaching over at Kingstree High School, and always a real gentleman to chat with. So I enjoyed conversations that I had with him, albeit brief. But yeah, I know the history of how good a player he was. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, super nice guy. Poll question of the week update. How many regular season wins for the Gamecocks? We're up to 393 votes, and 8 or 9 is carrying the day, 56.7%. Another 30.5% say 6 or 7. 7.1% peg at 10 or 11, and 5.6% believe the Gamecocks will run the table. Is that possible in any way? Can you fathom a way that South Carolina, obviously anything can happen, any game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But do you believe that South Carolina, you have any thought or belief that South Carolina could win all 12 games?
No, I don't think many people do. But, as you pointed out, it is possible. All things are possible. They could also go win 12. I don't think they'll do that either. But it's any of that stuff is possible if they have a massive amount of injuries. They would have to have some help from several teams on that schedule. I think Georgia would have to help them out a little bit. Tennessee probably would have to help them out a little bit at their place because, Tennessee's got that game circled on the calendar after being embarrassed in Columbia last year. So, there are a couple of games, and they need to play well right out of the blocks because I think the North Carolina game is going to be so critically important to their psyche and their confidence. If they come out of Charlotte with a win there, that's a win over a good team that can catapult them into a pretty good start to the season. And then you play well, you beat Furman, you would anticipate beating Furman, then you go roll the dice at Georgia and see what happens.
Yeah,
but I think the North Carolina game is such an early linchpin for them and a litmus test. They've got to find a way to get through that. And one quick comment about Sterling Lucas that I find funny, and it's not just him, it's every college coach in the country when asked about recruits. We can talk about Dylan Stewart. the fans can talk about Dylan Stewart. The players might be able to talk about Dylan Stewart, but when you ask a coach, that commitment you got, I just think it is so archaic. The NCAA, once these guys commit, you would think they can make a comment or two about the player and reference him by name instead of having to say, well, that commit that everybody knows who he's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, especially now. I mean, everybody knows who he was talking about.
You make a lot of sense, sir. And you know
That's
what?
why it won't ever work.
Yeah. But, I mean, they talk about the recruiting advantage because they don't want you going out and talking about a player by name and saying, how great he's going to be here and how he fits a need and we needed him and we don't have anybody. All that stuff that would be played out in the media. That's already being played out in the media through backdoor channels or by the fan base sending messages to the kid. But you know what? With the players now being largely recruited from a financial standpoint as well, why can't you talk about them publicly? You're not going to gain any greater edge there than you are by writing checks. So I wanted to mention along those lines about NIL before we hear from Antonio. Story has come out last 24 hours involving South Carolina. The Collective Association, that's a group of NIL collectives, has grown to 17 members with the addition of 10 other collectives, including South Carolina. I don't know what the benefit is for them to be involved in this. I guess maybe like minds working together will come up with some policies or they work together and come up with better ideas. But the Garnet Trust at South Carolina is now part of this collective association. So I don't know what kind of impact that might have publicly, but it is something that has happened over at South Carolina. Antonio Williams, who had go ahead, Pat.
So just real quick, one more thing to mention. When we talk about the Gamecocks schedule this season, just to piggyback on what Chris was saying, just looking through it, one thing that the Gamecocks, on top of just the confidence they have coming into this year, something to look at this calendar or this schedule that should make them feel good is their hardest opponents, most of which are coming after games against somewhat down opponents or rebuilding opponents. North Carolina, that's your opening game of the year. But then you have Furman before Georgia. And that's no disrespect to the Paladins, but that may not be of the same caliber. They may be able to rest some of their starters, hopefully later in the game, to rest up for Georgia. Then you have Tennessee coming after Mississippi State. I know you're high on them, but not everybody feels that way. That may not be as tough of a game. We'll see. But you have Tennessee coming after Mississippi State. You have Texas A&M, who's ranked, coming after Missouri. And even though Missouri tends to give the Gamecocks trouble, they don't have that much high hopes this year, at least that I'm aware of. Then you have Clemson at the end of the year. Their last ranked opponent on the year is coming after Kentucky, who no longer has Will Levis. I know that they had Devin Leary come in from NC State, and there's a lot of excitement up in Lexington about him. But still, this is a somewhat rebuilding Wildcat team up in Kentucky as well. So my point is those hardest games of the season, at least according to the rankings now for the Gamecocks, tend to come after weeks where they don't have that hard of an opponent. That, especially in the SEC, may be key.
Okay, you lay that out for Shane Beamer and see what he says about weak opponents coming after strong opponents. All right, Antonio Williams really had a underrated season last year. His numbers turned out to be, he had almost 60 catches last year, and people will remember the fumble against South Carolina, of course, and the fact that the passing game wasn't what it normally is at Clemson. Of course, he played for Tom Knotts at Dutch Fork, one of the greats in the high school business. Now he's playing for Dabo Swinney, a Hall of Fame coach at Clemson. He was asked recently to compare playing for Knotts versus playing for Swinney.
Coach Knotts, he's always hard on us. I think he has similar coaching style to Coach Swinney. It's a top tier program, so I'm expected in high school. I was expected to do a lot of the same stuff that I'm expected to do here. So they set me up for success for sure.
Hey, David Hope with TigerNet.com. I understand that you are a big fan of Nuke Hopkins. When did that start, and why did you become such a big fan of Nuke?
He's Nuke. He's DeAndre Hopkins. Even if he's not open, or it looks like he's not open, he's open. He's going to make the play. His catch radius is crazy. He's not the biggest guy. He's got great hands, big hands. And He's just a dog, and he every time he steps out on the field, he's out there to make a statement.
You ever been able to talk to him or connect with him at all?
No, sir. Looking forward to, though.
Kennedy, Clemson Sports Media. What's going to be the biggest difference between the receiver room this year and opposed to last year with Kate at quarterback?
Cliff, I think we're way closer than we were last year. You know, we making jokes. We get along better, and everybody wants to see each other succeed. I know personally in the slot, we got depth everywhere. I feel like on this team, so I know if I'm not doing what I need to do on the field, my coach is gonna put somebody else in. And we got freshmen in here like Tyler Brown, Mason Kelly, and then not a freshman, but Hamp Green. They're all good players, and if I'm out there lollygagging, then I know my coach is gonna take me out. So it's no room for kidding around.
Christina Long from the Greenville News. Just what has Tyler Brown shown you so far? Has anything he's done coming in now surprised you?
Nah, I mean, I'm a big film guy, so when I see like freshmen commit or anything, I'm going to watch their films, you know. But that's how I was in high school. Like when I was injured, and my sophomore year, I was injured, and I didn't have any offers or anything. So I'm out here watching guys that are ranked above me and stuff. But Tyler Brown, he's very good, very fast. He's got good technique. He knows how to get in and out of breaks. So he's going to be a great player for sure.
So John Blau with the Post-Courier. So Dad was saying one of the things he really appreciates this offseason, you were more accountable. And that was just something that fell short a little bit with last year. What were the things that you weren't quite doing last year that you think you're doing now to be more accountable?
I think as a freshman, I was kind of immature. It was a lot on my plate, you know, trying to focus on football and school at the same time. So I would show up late to class. I would miss class just because being tired from trying to gain a starting position and then having to have school. It was just a lot. But this year I'm trying to take a step back, you know, but still focus on school for sure because that's the main priority. But just doing both at a high level. Probably mat drills. Yeah, that'll push you to your limit, and you know it'll make or break you. So, yeah. I was gassed out there, and I just wasn't doing the right things I needed to do to set myself up to play at the highest level.
So it's just showing up
with the right mindset. If you don't have the right mindset out there, you won't finish.
Scott Keefe with the Greenville News. What has Coach Riley done to kind of energize this offense?
I think if you feel it, you ask anybody on offense, he just brings a swagger around. Like, you know, I feel like everybody's playing with a little swag now, and we're just out there playing more free. Cage feeling himself. All the receivers are feeling themselves. You know, the dudes in the backfield, dudes up front. We all feeling good, and we all have something to prove and playing with a chip on our shoulder for sure.
Okay, the comments of Clemson receiver Antonio Williams. Think you'll see big things out of him this coming season. Okay, the first competition of the school year. Of course, school hasn't started yet in Columbia, okay, despite what it says on the flipping practice sheet. Classes haven't started, but soccer, USC women, Clemson women, up at historic Riggs Field. Before I give you the score, I'm going to give you a little play-by-play as I perceive it on the radio for this. Here we go. And she kicks it over here and kicks, and it goes over to the middle of the field and kicked over to the left side. Now back over to the middle of the field, now over to the right side. Now it's knocked away, and we're going the other way, and she kicks it across midfield, and it's over the middle of the field. Now it goes to the right side. She kicks it around, and it goes to the left side, and it goes out of bounds, and we go back the other way. 0-0 is your score. Obviously, I'm not a very talented play-by-play announcer, especially for soccer. There have been a total of 6 shots attempted in the game. 5 by the Clemson's dominated this game. They just haven't scored.
Mm-hmm.
They've had 5 shots to 1. Gamecocks have only had 1 shot. How can you be a top 15 team and have just 1 shot? Clemson's had 1 shot on goal, which was a save. 4-3 in fouls on the Tigers. The Tigers with 6 corner kicks to the Gamecocks 1. 2 offsides on South Carolina to 1 for Clemson. Analyze that for me there, Chris.
I can't analyze it much. You did a nice job. I will say this, though. If you look at some of the FIFA World Cup women's soccer stats, you're going to see the same thing. I mean, shots, in particular, shots on goal in soccer are just not very prevalent. It's not like watching an NHL game where you're going to get 25, 30, 40 shots in a game. It's just not the case. I mean, it just does not happen in soccer. It's a much more controlled type game. And so that's why you get a situation where Clemson has 5 shots, but only 1 of them on goal. And Gamecock's only shot didn't come close to the frame. And that's about stretching the end of my knowledge on soccer.
In all of that, there's something exciting in there somewhere. I just, I'd rather watch baseball. That'll do it. That'll do it, everybody. Thank you to the folks here at Allen. We'll be with you tomorrow night from Chicago for both shows. Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Chris. Have a great night, everybody. See you tomorrow.